Thank you today for joining us today for our GreenGeeks webinar, WordPress and Speed, Make Your Website Load Faster by Marco. So real quick, I wanted to say something about GreenGeeks, as I always do. We're a 300% green energy web hosting provider, which essentially means we put back 3 times the power we consume into the grid in the form of renewable energy. We have been recognized by the US EPA since 2009 as a green power partner. And we offer share hosting, reseller hosting, VPS, and dedicated server. Okay, so now moving on to our webinar. As I mentioned earlier, Marco is going to talk about WordPress and Speed. And I wanted to give you a few notes regarding the webinar, as always. So if you have any question, please put it in the Q&A, and Marco will answer those questions at the end. You're welcome to chat in the chat room. Erica will be watching it, Erica and I will be watching it. And remember that if you want everybody to know what you are discussing, you need to select all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, it's only gonna go to the 3 of us. Also, we are recording this and we will send the recording to you in the next couple of days. And one last thing, at the end of the webinar, we are doing a raffle for 2 free EcoSite live hosting accounts for 12 months. And if you're a customer already of GreenGeeks, we're going to give you an additional year of hosting, again, if you win the raffle. I'm going to introduce the team. We have Erica. Erica today is having some audio issues, so she won't be saying hi, but she's there. And then we have Marco. Marco, do you want to say hi and just take the reign?
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I'm Marco Berrocal. I am a senior WordPress theme and plugin developer out of San Jose, Costa Rica. I work in partner relations here at GreenGeeks. And well, I'm happy to give this webinar about speed, which was something, something that's really, really important. As I said previously in the last webinar, if you guys have any suggestions as to what topics you would like to see on future webinars, do comment to everybody here so we can take note of it, and most likely we will be able to assemble something really special for you guys. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen and we are going to start. We're going to get the ball rolling. I think this webinar is going to be shorter than the usual ones. I am not going to speak a lot about code. I'm going to talk a lot about plugins and how the web works. Okay, so let's get the ball rolling. So I am going to move everybody to here, and I'm going to move Anna and company. I don't know where they are anymore. Well, let's pretend they're here. Well, I don't even know. I hope they're still here. If not, give me a shout or some Slack, okay? A Slack, not some Slack. So speed, make your website faster. What are we going to learn today? Today we're going to learn about how to make your website faster, really in a nutshell. We're not only going to do that, we're also going to know how the web works, what makes a website slow, what makes a website fast, the way the web was structured, the pitfalls that we have when it comes to, working with websites, and the compromises that we have to, like in life, we have to achieve certain compromises between, what the options are and the downsides out of each and every option that we choose. So we're going to explain how the web works, and, I'm also going to explain what factors contribute when it comes to speed issues, what makes a website slow in essence. And we are going to look at how to configure a few caching plugins while we explain what is what. I want to say about caching plugins, there are different flavors out there, and I'm going to work with one today. I am going to explain what each setting is. But if you definitely prefer to work with another one, you will at least understand what each setting will do, okay? So what you're going to need, aside from your GreenGeeks account, it's not strictly necessary, but you're going to need a WordPress site that is live. I know we have, worked with local versioning before, but now this is strictly something we're going to do online. This is something we're going to do you know, live. We're going to do it on live sites. We're going to actually use sites that people actually access. So any theme and plugins are going to be okay. You know, I say this, it's yes and no, because you know, themes and plugins, as you're going to see in a minute, they have a defining or deciding factor as to, you know, speed issues. So you may be asking, why is speed important? Well, first of all, I would say from a user perspective, it's really important. Note the user word. Users are people all over the world. They're scattered all over the world. They have different connections. They have different settings. They have different needs. And, you know, nobody likes a slow website. Nobody likes a slow experience. Nobody likes sites that take forever to load. And it has been statistically shown that, you know, users, as you start using your website, the more time it takes to load, the more they will bounce. So you have to ask this from a business perspective. If you are driving in tons of traffic, if you are, you know, killing it with the SEO, you're making some real progress, you're generating a lot of traffic, but all of it is bouncing because your website is incredibly slow, well, you're going to run into a few problems with it. You know, it's like, you know, it's like water that is slipping through your hands. I mean, it's not your real objective for that to happen. So, you know, it's good to keep the user experience, the speed thing into mind. Google, well, it's really important to Google. Hey, it helps. It's one of the factors when it comes to rankings. It's one of the factors when it comes to, you know, your SEO rankings and whatnot. You know, speed is becoming more and more of an issue. And I say this a lot, and people don't really thought about it. The environment. So people are like, what? Yeah, the environment is a contributing factor. One of the reasons why I liked GreenGeeks a lot was the fact that they took the environment into consideration as part of the social commitment that we have as a company. But we also, as WordPress users, as WordPress developers, have a commitment to, you know, the environment as well. So if you think about it, the less code we send, the more we save, the less electricity is needed to send that data. So if we are lazy about it, or if we are not, you know, every vote counts. And no pun intended with the results of the elections, but you know, every vote, every user counts. And you know, the more we save with data, the more we optimize data, the more efficient that we are, the less power we are going to consume. Because in the end, if you think about it, all the data that we consume and send, it's data, it's electricity that's being spent somewhere. So if we are cautious about it, if we save, if we have a social commitment, we're actually helping the environment, you know, by having speedier websites. So this is something that not many people think about, but believe me, it's going to be a topic in the upcoming years. So, you know, you are doing your part, your footprint part with how fast you want to, you know, make your website. Okay, so what makes my website slow? So the first, number one, I would say your hosting. Your hosting is really important, and I don't mean only your hosting company. I also mean your hosting environment. You know, if you have a shared hosting, is it a good shared hosting? Is it a good VPS hosting? Are they reliable? We're going to discuss this in a bit, but hosting matters. Of course, your WordPress site, you know, that's going to be a contributing factor. You know, themes and plugins, databases, and the like, those are all things that WordPress needs to actually run. Scripts and resources. Okay, how many scripts are we going to need? How long are they going to take to download? How do they download? And resources like, you know, cascading style sheets, you know, frameworks, all that stuff starts adding and adding and adding towards the final build. Assets, I would put in assets, you know, the likes of images and media files such as videos and stuff of the like. You know, those are also contributing factors to my website. And I'll include it at 5. Themes and plugins, you know, they also matter. So we're going to discuss all of them, you know, how this works. Okay, so basically, so you guys understand how the web works. Whenever I go to a website, whenever I visit a website, say GreenGeeks.com, I am connecting to a server. I'm actually connecting to a server which has an address, and I am telling the server, listen, I am going to greengeeks.com, give me the homepage. So the web server will in turn say, does the homepage exist? The server will say yes. It's going to load all the assets. It's going to load all the files to you, and it's going to give you a response back out of all the items that are coded in the actual HTML or CMS processor. It's going to give you a code back, and it's going to download all that stuff to you. It's going to get back to you. The browser is going to display that for you. And depending how slow or how fast it's going to be, it's going to give you those files served. So one of the pitfalls that we can already see is, first of all, how many files are we going to need to serve that website? Is it going to be, by files, I mean images, cascading style sheet, fonts, JavaScript files, and the likes. So how many are we going to need? So if we're going to need, it's not to say needing 15 files like than saying 150. And the way the web was conceived, and I said this in previous webinars, is that, whenever the server gets back to you, the browser will say, oh, okay, give me this file, give me this file, give me this file. So it's calls back and forth, and that's something we call latency. It's calls back and forth that your browser starts to make, and depending on how many calls, it's going to add up to the final bill. So intuitively, the less amount of calls you make, the better it is for a faster website. So we're going to have, we're going to use some techniques that are going to reduce the amount of calls. Okay. So first of all, we're going to discuss, your hosting platform. We are great for speed. Perception means everything. So your hosting. We've covered this a lot in different webinars: security, content, SEO, stuff of the like. You're going to need a hosting solution that minimizes your downtime. That's always up and running. A hosting solution that can actually give you some speed. That is a fast website, because I asked you what good will do a $5 or $10 hosting solution if your website is really, really, really slow. Perception means everything. So, or actually, should it be nothing? The reason I say this is that, actually it means everything. So the perception means everything. So you might think that your website is fast because you have 100 megabyte, or you have a 500 megabyte. I don't know what the speeds are in the United States or across the world, but you may have a really, really fast connection, but you kind of forget that not everybody might have that connection, that some people might be using their phones, that some people, might have a 2 megabyte connection. You really don't know. So the fact that your website loads really fast for you doesn't mean it's going to load fast for everybody else. Your perception is biased. You are going to say, okay, my website is fast, it loads fast, unless your website is really, really slow and you actually acknowledge the problem. Or unless you say, okay, I really, really have a problem. So you're going to need to test. You're going to need to have some tools out there that are going to test it for you. And we'll talk about those tools in a bit. But, your hosting needs to be really, really fast. It needs to, get a response back fast. It needs to support the HTTP2 protocol if possible. It needs to be blazing fast, okay? So when you say fast, how fast do you mean? Typically, I would say that anything between 0 and 2 seconds is a good indicator of a good, solid, fast website. So our aim is going to be 2 seconds max at most. And when you are testing, let's see how fast you do. You're going to look at your reports, and you're going to see how fast your website is measuring up. So, but my key takeaway is your hosting. How fast are they? How reliable are they? How scalable are they? Also, it's really important to know how scalable they are, because let's say, for example, that you start your business tomorrow, and for the first year everything's fine. I mean, you can handle it, but all of a sudden you become famous, or you become really popular, and people start visiting your site more and more and more. and there comes a point in time where your server is just not going to be able to handle it. So how scalable is your hosting solution? You know, can they grow with you? Is it an elastic scale? You know, things of that nature is something, those are questions that you need to ask, you know, before you start moving on, you know, deciding which hosting platform to use. Of course, here at GreenGeeks, we take speed into consideration. It's one of the things that we feel it matters, because nobody likes a slow website. So, you know, for really, I would say for small businesses, even large ones, you know, we really have a good hosting solution that is going to help you, you know, serve fast websites. Okay. So the next thing that matters is your WordPress theme. I would recommend go light. You know, go with what is needed and stick with it. Okay, let's expand this a little bit further. I know there's a lot of themes out there. I know there's a gazillion themes. I know there's themes with builders, without builders. There's people that code. There's people that don't code. They use short codes. I would say, you know, go as light as possible. You know, go with as few options as needed. I mean, this is like everything, you know, in life. The more you choose, the more options you have, the more bloat you're gonna have. It's like filling up your house. The more, you know, stuff you put on your Christmas tree, the more bloated it's going to be. So with the WordPress theme, try to go as light as possible. Go strictly what is needed. Go minimal, you know, test the theme out if possible with a demo or something, and make sure that it's speedy enough to go with it. Turn off the options that you don't need. I've seen it a lot. You know, people, they purchase a theme or they acquire a theme, and then they just leave the options on. You know, options that are not needed, options that you're not going to use. So, you know, turn that stuff off, and, you know, you're going to have definitely a faster website with it. For developers out there, or for people who use a base theme, you know, if you find something that you like, stick with it. You know, if it's something that's speedy enough, you know, stick with it, you know, work with that, and, you know, progress and move along. But always keep go as light as possible. Obviously, me coming from a developing background, I start with a blank theme, I display nothing, and I build my way up. And this is part of the reasons why I prefer to use a custom solution and give that to my clients, because I am actually, you know, giving the clients exactly what they need, no more, no less. You know, just the options that they're going to need. And I try to, you know, keep the amount of plugins to a minimum, which is our next slide. So again, go with what is strictly needed. I've seen it happen, like, for example, with forms. People, you know, they put a plugin that has a contact form, and it has a drag and drop, and it has this, and it has that, and it has all the options, progress bar, and this and that. So you got to ask yourself, do I really need that? Do I need a drag and drop feature? If the answer is no, then don't go with a plugin that has that, because you got to think of the scenario from a development perspective when it comes to plugins. So the plugin developer is going to assume that all the options are needed, or they're going to be integrated. So they're going to bundle that for you. So again, think of the Christmas tree. You're coming with a Christmas tree that has a lot of lights, a lot of bells, a lot of, you know, souvenirs, and you just don't need them all. So, you know, stick with what's strictly needed. And if possible, go with the API. With the API, I mean, you know, start coding yourself, start doing stuff yourself in order to go as light as possible. Because if you go with the API, you're going to go with what's strictly needed. You're not going to, you will add more features if you actually need them. So if possible, go with the API. If the previous option is not possible, you know, go with a developer. I mean, there's tons of freelancing sites out there where you can actually hire a developer on a project basis, and it's just something that he can do. You know, they can build a plugin for you, or they can actually build the code functionality, and that's it. You don't need anything else other than that. So plugins, too many can be a problem. Now, there's some people who advocate that a lot of websites have like a lot of plugins, and they don't necessarily fail, because the quality is what's important. I would say it's a balance between both quality and quantity, because again, some developers, I don't want to criticize them, but some developers might be a little lazy when it comes to, you know, saving files. And we go back to that slide where I said about the environment. Some developers might load stuff that you don't really need, and you don't know, since you are actually using code that's not yours. So, that is the pitfall when it comes with this. Plugins will give you some database issues as well. And what do I mean by that? By this, I mean that when you install a plugin and you use a plugin, and it may do stuff in the database behind the scenes, it's stuff that you don't know. And even if you deactivate the plugin, even if you do that, it's still gonna leave those options out there. So if you think about it, if let's say you've used your site for 10 years and you've used, I don't know how many plugins, like let's say hundreds of plugins. So all those options might be stuck in your database, and you're gonna have a problem. So from time to time, it's good. And we're gonna revise that in the database slide. We're gonna revise, things that you can actually do within the database in order to trim the stuff that you actually don't need. But plugins are really, really important. So always do your research, ask the questions if you want to go for a plugin, ask the developer, how is it structured? How does it serve files? Is it efficient and whatnot? If they give you an answer, well, great. We are going to review something called, we're going to review a few tools out there, okay? But first, I'm going to explain also, we're going to need to cache things. So I'm going to explain what the concept of caching really means. So caching basically means you're going to store something to use for later. It helps because it is a copy. So think of this scenario. So let's say people go to your homepage and they download that stuff and they put it in the browser and they start surfing your website. So the way caching works is that the caching system, there's two types of caching. There's disk, like physical disk caching, and there's memory caching. But the difference is that the RAM it's a far more, it's a quicker memory than the disk, but it's also more expensive. And it's also going to consume memory that you may use for other service stuff. So again, it's a compromise that you need to do. But the plugins that we're going to work with, they're going to be disk caching. So disk caching basically means that, again, imagine the scenario where I go to a homepage. So instead of visitors going to the homepage and fetching all this stuff, let me take a time out quickly. So WordPress is a content management system, right? It's basically means that everything it does off a database. So a database is like the heart of where WordPress is. So all the stuff, all the content, all the files, all the settings, all the plugin settings, everything is mapped to a database. So every time someone visits your site, when the server sees it, and it says, oh, this is a WordPress site, it starts doing the behind the scenes stuff to fetch the information and deliver it to you as content. So it does something called database queries. So it basically means, give me this, give me that, give me this. So if you go to a website and it gives you the site back, that's just you. But if you imagine like hundreds of people or thousands of people doing the same thing, it's going to add up. It's going to add up to the bill. You're going to have a database that's going to become a little bit too saturated. So the concept behind caching is that, why don't we tell the database or the server, hey, generate one page for us, a page that, let's say it was done today at this exact moment. So take a snapshot of that page. So whenever someone comes, like let's say Anna comes like 5 minutes later, instead of Anna going to the database and saying, hey, give me all this stuff, give me this, give me that, it's going to look into a cache directory and it's going to deliver a static website, like a snapshot of that page, and it's going to deliver that to you. So it's going to do the same for everybody. So as you can imagine, this is way faster than actually doing all the, all those calls. So, but what is the downside of caching stuff? The downside of caching stuff is as, like I said, it's a snapshot. It's a picture of what you took during a certain moment of time. It's a snapshot of your web page. So going to the election situation that we're going through now, the presidential election in the United States, if you're a news site, the concept of caching is not really that good to you, because you want to be updating, your news every amount of minutes. So you can't generating cache is also an intensive process. So caching might not be a solution for you, or certain parts of the site you can't cache. Well, we're going to discuss that a little bit further. But caching is a huge topic because it saves a lot of memory, it saves a lot of requests, it saves a lot of server load, and it helps you serve a faster website. Okay. So we are going to go with a caching plugin. At GreenGeeks, we use LS Cache. It's a cache it's a plugin that's built in. It comes with every cPanel installation out there. If you don't have it, I'm going to show you how to activate it. It's a great little tool. We're going to discuss this one first. But first, we are going to see some of the tools that I actually use to measure up a website. So to measure up a website, there is, I'm going to write this here so you can actually see what happened. New document here, and back. Let's do it like that. So let's do it like this. So I use first of all, I use something called Pingdom. I use GT Metrics. And I also use this little tool called loader.io. Okay. So let's start with Pingdom first, okay? I don't know if you guys can see this, but let's start with Pingdom first. Let me close this out. And I'm going to go to pingdom.com. Here we go, tools.pingdom.com. This is a really, really nice little tool because it analyzes, it scans your website, and it gives you like a report back, about what your issues are going to be. I'm going to explain this, step by step, but for now, I'm going to use my website. Let's see, where am I? I'm here. This is the website I've been using a lot. And I want to go to WP admin and let me see. So I'm going to activate all my plugins here. And this is the scenario I had before I started to work, with the actual reporting tool. So this is the most likely scenario that you're going to bump into, right? Where you're going to bump into a scenario on which there are going to be certain plugins that are going to be activated within your website. Some of those plugins might not be updated, like, for example, this one. And, you're going to work with that. You're going to work with a scenario like this. You're going to have a lot of plugins installed. So first of all, we're going to run this. We're going to run this little tool on which we're going to copy and paste this URL over here, and we're going to choose a location. Now, typically, I would choose the location that's closest to me because, again, all of this stuff matters. I mean, it's not the same fetching a file that's in Tokyo than fetching it in, for example, Washington, D.C. Like physically, where I'm at, I'm in Costa Rica. So physically, to me, it makes more sense to fetch information from Washington, D.C. or even Sao Paulo, I would say. I'm in an I don't know the word in English, but I'm in equal distance between one and the other. So I'm going to go with Washington, D.C., and I'm going to start the test. And, this tool takes its time. Thank God we're number one. And this is going to come back with us, and it's going to tell us, what stuff is wrong with us. It's going to give a snapshot of what our site issues are going to be. Okay. So it gave us back, and it's going to give me a rating. Well, I did a good job, eh? So as you can see, this is 5.9 megabytes. That's, I would say, to put it in perspective, it's like 2 songs of 3 minutes each. So if somebody visits my website, they're going to download this, like 2 little songs before my website loads. Now, I'm using a shared platform, and I'm clocking in at 3.13 seconds. So that's a little bit over the 2 seconds I said. And remember, if we go back into our homepage here, all I had was a Gutenberg layout. Oh, that's really it. I mean, there's nothing fancy about it. It's just a few images. It's my mugshot here. It's all of that. Well, maybe these pictures are they are becoming a problem. So we're going to optimize those in a bit. We're going to walk through all of that. Okay. So it's 3.13 seconds and 21 requests. Remember those calls I said? We're making 21 calls in order to serve this. It's going to give me some suggestions as to what am I doing wrong and what am I doing right. So here it's telling me I'm not compressing stuff with gzip. Basically what that means is that servers also have the capacity to zip files. So what can I zip? I can zip JavaScript files, and I can zip style sheet files. So since those files are text really compresses well. Like text is one of the best things that you can do. Like files, like JavaScript files, like static style sheet files, they're really good when it comes to compressing, because it's just text files in the end that the browser reads. So to a browser, and to give you that in perspective, let's go over here and let's see where our styling sheet is. I'm going to look at the styling sheet, and it's not this one, it's not that one, and I would say it's this one. So this is the style sheet, right? This is all the rules that style the website. So for a browser, this, and let's go minify CSS tool. Let's do a minify CSS tool. So to give you an example, so you can read all of this, right? You guys can read all of this. It says all this stuff over here, it's readable, right? To a human. But if you go over here and you paste that in, and you minify this, for example, and you put all of this stuff like here, like all this stuff is basically unreadable to a human, but it's readable to a browser. The browser doesn't care about the spaces. It doesn't care about enter. So that's why text really zips well. So that is really like the the concept behind it. We're going to zip that even more, and we're going to, but this is called minifying, but the concept of zipping is really similar. So that's basically what this tool is telling me. It's telling me that, I'm not zipping my files. And it tells me I can reduce response size by about 70%. Okay, so it means I'm grabbing a zipped copy, I unzip it, and then I put it inside my server. The rest is telling me I'm doing a good job, like putting JavaScript at the bottom, reduce the amount of DOM elements, etc., etc. So in here, it's telling me one thing is not found. Something was not found. We can expect that in a bit. It tells me a resource is not found. Now, how do I know what resource is it? How do I know that? You can right-click, you can right-click and you can go to inspect element over here. And I think the console will give you that. I'm not sure if, or is it storage? Wait a second, I am kind of lost. Network, reload. Yes, if you go to this, this is called the developer tools. This is called the developer tools that every browser has them. So as you can see, what I'm missing is an icon. So you may say, oh, it's just a 0.7 kilobyte file. But again, it's an unnecessary call that I'm making, and the server is getting back to me saying, hey, it's not found. Now, do I need to make that call? Yes or no? So the answer would be yes. I definitely need I need to make that call. In here, it's telling me it's 2.7 megabytes, which I don't know, but it's different, but it's fine. Finishing loading in 2.64 seconds. It's giving me a little bit different reading than this one. So now, and this is really the cool thing about this tool. This tool is giving me like the whole lowdown of where my problems are. As you can see over here, my problem is the images. Images are really tremendously heavy. So it's taking up like 98% of everything that I'm requesting. So I need to address that. I definitely need to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that. But over here, I can definitely see this is becoming a problem. So where is that file? What is the culprit? If you go over here, you can filter that by size, response total size. Let's see, and I want this to be rising. And as you can see, it's probably gonna be this gorgeous background I have here. So if you go over here and you see this gorgeous background that I have, I added it twice, by the way, but it doesn't matter because the server will render it once. So I added it here and I added it here. So this little tool will tell me, this is the problem right here. This is a 4.1 megabyte file. It's really big. And obviously, I think this little guy over here, this is also, so I am downloading the image twice, but I have a different file. This one is this one, it's the name of it, and this one is this one. So yeah, this is the original one, and I'm adding a copy over here, and I'm downloading it twice. My mugshot is just 110 kilobytes, which is still big, but it's doable. It's workable. This works over here, so we're gonna cut that. Okay, so this little tool allows us to inspect, what our problems is. And remember, as I said in previous slide, so it's basically files, images. Those are basically the culprit of what our problem is. So okay, that's it for this tool. Pingdom will give us a report, and now I have identified what my problem is. Okay. Now we're going to go to GTmetrix, and we go over here, which is basically the same thing. It's just a different tool that you can analyze. And the reason I use different tools is because it's going to give me different perspective. It's going to give me a different numbers. It's going to give me a different perspective. There's tons of tools out there. I'm going to give you a few by the end of this webinar, and you will have a better feel with some of the tools that you have. In this case, I'm getting an F score, which is really low, and I'm getting a WISE-Low of A. So again, 3.4 seconds. This is the amount of total page, and it's 22 requests. It's one more. So again, it's telling me that images, I'm really, really doing a bad job. Avoiding bad requests, it's telling me that the fav icon, it's not existing. So as you can see, like Pingdom won't give you what files it didn't find, but this one does. So if you don't want to do the whole stuff of, opening up your developer tools and going into network, hitting the reload and viewing this from a perspective of the browser, then you definitely can use this tool to know that up front. So the rest seems okay. And it's giving me a lot of stuff like minify CSS, which I didn't do. Here it's telling me that I can reduce like a 32% if I get rid of, this is 24%. If I reduce this style sheet that I gave you guys here, it's exactly the same. I just took a different route. I took the geek route. I'm sorry. It's just very difficult sometimes to do that. And you can see over here, I'm like, why do I need a print? Like, for example, this one. Why do I need this one? Why do I need to make this call? Like, for example, why? I mean, who prints? Who is going to come to my website and print my website? Maybe my grandmother, maybe my father, but I would say, okay, I could definitely explain my dad not to print. And I could just say, okay, maybe I need to get rid of this call. Yeah, it's just a really small file. It's a small file, as you can see. It's just a couple of lines, but it's a call that I'm making. So I can say, do I need to make this call? Do I need to tell the server that I need this file? And the answer is going to be no, most likely no. This file over here, it has to do with a plugin. As you can see, and this is why plugins are important. So this file is injecting this plugin right here, this contact form plugin, this over here. So again, I have to ask myself, if I'm in the home page, here, and there is there is a contact form, but let's say there wasn't, do I need this file loaded? And if the answer is no, well, I need to find a plugin that can actually serve me the files whenever I need them, not put them there on the home page and you not needing them. So this little tool is really, really handful. The other tool that I want to run, and we're going to do this before we start things. So I'm going to save the scores over here. I'm going to save them so we can actually start seeing, the progress that what we're going to do. Let's hope we have time. The other tool that I absolutely love, it's called loader.io, this little tool over here. So this little tool over here, it's a free tool so long you only have one website, okay? So over here, that's, man, my internet's slow, or I don't know what's happening. Wait, see. My account, let's go. So I have this little tool over here. And as you can see, I did some tests yesterday. So now I'm going to do this test again. I'm going to do the webinar test. This webinar test, as you can see here, it's basically simulates 15 clients visiting that URL in over 1 minute. Obviously, you could change that if you go to edit test over here and you can change it to 30, you can change it to 150. So the more users you send, the more stress you're going to put on your server. So we're just going to do 15 because I think that's a reasonable test. You know, it can simulate actual site, an actual site. Well, you can watch your statistics to know how many visitors you have, and you can actually, but I think 15 is a good reasonable number to start. So we're going to reload, we're going to run this configuration, and we're going to let this guy go. So we're preparing the test, and as you can see the progress bar here, these are like the actual guys that they're sending, okay? So right now, it's telling me that the average response time, it's 5.9 milliseconds. So it's telling me it's taking about 5 to, wow, as you can see, it's 6.5, 5.4. Let's see how well it does, okay? One even timed out. Okay, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down. Let's see. Okay, how many more? I think like 4 more. So it's going down, and it's taking about 1.8 seconds to load, which is a little faster than the tool, than what Pingdom or GT Metrics is telling me. So again, not all the tests are going to come out the same. As you can see, this is 1.6. It's a good indicator. We're doing good. But now watch what happens when I just go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to deactivate all these plugins. I'm going to get rid of them all. Okay, now I've deactivated all of them. I'm going to run this test again. I am going to run this test again. And let's see what Pingdom will give me. Okay. Pingdom will now tell me I still have the same size, but I have 1.4 seconds. 1.44 seconds. That is still, it's a good time. It's still a good time, but it can even be better if we reduce this. But the amount of requests, they change from 17 to 22. So I'm making 20% less requests, and that has to do with the plugins. You know, now I'm seeing like, wow, I'm seeing results just by deactivating all the plugins that I had. So what plugins did I have? I had the spam one, the all-in-one SEO, the migration, the editor, the contact form, custom post-it UI. I had the whole shebang. I had the security ones, the SEO, SSL, redirection, you name it, I had it. So, but still, this is what a typical website will have. It's 15 plugins. So if we go to GT Metrics over here, I'm still doing really bad, and it's telling me like it's 3.0 seconds. So it's giving me a different score. But now I want to run this guy again. Now I want to rerun this and take a look at this number. It's 1.6. So we're going to run this again. And now we're going to look at this number. This is the number we're interested in. Now it's running faster. I would say maybe half, maybe, like 2/3, 2 times, it's twice as fast. Yeah, definitely. So this is a much better response. So plugins, like I said, can be, they're most likely the culprit as to why your website is slow, because you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and you have a lot of information, you have a lot of stuff. Plugins do a lot of work, and this, you know, adds up to the total of what you are doing. So we are going to cache, and we're going to make this number even better. Okay, so as you can see, this is a really, really good number. This is 5.19, which is way faster than the number I previously gave you guys. If we, you know, test over here, this is 5.19, and this was 1.6. So it's almost, 3 times as much. So that was a significant change that we did just by doing the plugins. So again, part of your workflow, when you are doing these type of tests, you can deactivate all your plugins, you can test it, you can see how it behaves. Of course, some of the things might not work, but you're going to start, activating one by one, and you're going to start doing tests to see where where are you failing. Now, of course, I can't do that here because we don't have enough time, but this is part of the workflow that you can actually do when you start inspecting what can be wrong with your website. So I know that some of these plugins, if not most, are causing me problems. So, but let's discuss now the caching plugin. So we use LS Cache at GreenGeeks. At GreenGeeks, you can activate this plugin if you don't have it, because some accounts do come bundled with it, once you sign up with us, and others you're going to have to do it manually. If you don't have it with us yet, you have to go to your cPanel. And sorry about the red, I haven't paid. Well, I don't get to pay. So if you scroll all the way down here, you're going to have the option, where is it? It's going to be here on the advanced. You click on this guy, and it's going to inspect it. And it's going to tell you what this cache is good for. In this case, we're interested in WordPress, but if you have other CMS such as Joomla and Drupal, you can definitely, do that. So we have this little tool here. No, I want to go back. Sorry, wrong button. And I scroll the way down, and let me see where that setting is. Okay, this is very good. And let me go back. I think it's over here. WordPress cache. Yes. So I can actually activate it. What the tool will do is going to scan, my directories to see where do I have WordPress installed. So I have 2 WordPress installations in this account, in the shared account. I have it here, and I have it under content. So I am going to disable it over here because I don't really need it. But disable it, and I am going to enable it here. So what this does is, behind the scenes, it's going to install that plugin for me. It's going to go over here, and it's going to put this plugin live. So we're going to configure it, and we're going to see how good it does the job, right? So let's see how it did. It's enabled. So let's refresh over here. And where are you? And here it is. It's activated. So as you can see, we have the setting over here, and now we're going to get ready, and we're going to take a look. So the first thing, this is going to give us a dashboard of all the things that, the cache has found. Right now, it hasn't found anything because, we are getting on the way. I do have to note that obviously Lightspeed Cache has a cloud service stuff where you can actually, put files or assets in there using a CDN, It's we'll get to that in a minute, but part of their business is exactly that. They make business off people that actually use their CDN service. So we're going to go on the general here. We're going to go on the general here, and we're going to first toggle this. We're going to say yes. We want to automatically upgrade. This has to do with the cloud services that they have, the quick cloud online services that we have. So we're going to leave that for now. We're going to hit save changes. And we're going to go. So we're going to go to cache over here. And we're going to say, do we enable? Well, yeah, we definitely want to enable cache. Do we want to cache we want to cache logged in users? Yes or no? So this is a tricky one. Some people, when they're developing, they prefer to see the page not cached than cached because they're doing changes on the site. They're doing stuff on the site. So if they need to see the stuff like not cached, then you definitely want to leave this on. I typically leave that on. And if I want to see a cached version of the website, I either open a new browser where I'm not logged in. So if I'm using Firefox over here, I'll just open Opera or Firefox Developer Edition, or I can just go ahead and open a private window, which is this. Private window will just be in something where you're logged off, and you're definitely not going to do that. Cache commenters, do you want to cache commenters? Yes or no? Again, how fast is your website? If it's a new site, if it's a lot of people commenting, you want to cache that? Yes or no? If it's a static site, it's just a website where people occasionally comment, then you definitely want to leave this on. Do you want a login page to cache? What resources do you want to cache? In this case, I definitely want to leave them as is. The mobile one, I don't want to do it. The reason why I don't want to do it is I don't want to get in the list of any user agents out there and I don't want to deal with that. Basically, what this means is that you want to cache on a user agent specific yes or no. Uh, I definitely don't want that, because since if the website is responsive, I don't particularly care about what the user agent is going to be. So, I'm just going to leave that as is. These are settings over here where you can actually private cache URLs. If you can force cache on specific pages, yes or no. This is really important, and this is something when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is really, really nice. Drop query strings. What do I mean by that? Basically, some websites, some people, they might have UTM campaigns, like Google Analytics campaigns running, Google AdWords campaigns running, and like Facebook ads and stuff of the like. So they want to track that stuff. So cache plugins, like I said, it's a copy of a website, and it's going to store that somewhere. And if it sees like a URL string with it, it's just going to grab the cached copy, and you won't be able to track it. So what this setting means is that if it finds this within the query string, like within the URL over here, like over here, it's going to go with a live version of the website. It's not going to go with the cached version. So I say this because, and this is the reason why I like this tool, is because I was using a different caching plugin, and I had a really difficult time with it, because I was working on a project where we needed to we needed to cache on, but we needed it to be off when people were actually sending querying strings such as these. So I'm kind of sad that I didn't find this plugin in the end, but we came up with a solution. But still, this is a very good, cool feature to have if you need to have that flexibility with your clients, on which they actually need to have AdWords or Facebook ads or the likes, and they definitely want to have caching going on. So we're going to save the settings over here, right? We're going to go over here. And in here, we're going to say the TTL value. So TTL basically means time to live. How long do we want this cache to be stored? So depending on this setting here, is that once this time goes by, it's going to regenerate a new cache page for you out of all your web pages within your WordPress installation. So here you have to measure how often do you want to cache. For slow websites, for small websites, for pages that you can actually say, okay, this is really, really static. Hey, if you can go a week, 2 weeks, a month, go ahead. But for websites that are moving, e-commerce sites, things of the like, you definitely want to, trade this value and keep it a little lower, because otherwise your content is going to look completely outdated, and it's going to beat the purpose of caching. Why are you going to cache if your website is going to be completely outdated? So you have to definitely play with these values over here. I'm going to leave them as is, but with this, it's a trade-off that only only you can decide. Okay. So these are the time to live resources of our cache. The purge, basically what this means is, do we want to purge whenever when any plugin, a theme, or WordPress core is upgraded? I've seen it sometimes where people install a new plugin and they need to purge the cache before they can actually see the plugin in action. So you can overwrite that over here, and you can overwrite this value with this setting over here. So again, if you install the plugin and you want to see that in action, you definitely want to leave this option on. Auto purge rules for publish and update. Again, some people want to do this if they update a post. Like, let's say you go over here, you update a page, and you do that. Do you want the cache to be purged and regenerated again when you do that or not? Some people will absolutely need it. Others will not. Again, this is a business setting that I can't really give you guys. Okay, so this is really techie stuff. If basically what it means is that if we want to purge whenever these hooks are fired, hooks is out of the scope of this webinar, but if you guys are interested, I can talk to you about hooks all day. But basically what this setting means is exactly this. Do we want to fire? We want to purge this whenever these hooks are fired. By reading these hooks, it's pretty simple. This hook happens when a theme is switched, when we create menus, delete menus, when we create taxonomies, edit them, and add new links. So Do we want to do that? Yes or no? We can definitely do that if you want. Again, that is strictly up to you. The exclude settings, again, it's also really important. You may need this or not. Going back to the project that I guys gave you earlier, where I had the query string and I needed not to be cached. I also needed to exclude certain URLs from it, because they basically what the project is about is they go to a specific page, they sign up through this third-party form, and then they get redirected to a page within my WordPress installation. But depending on what the result is, they're going to get redirected to page A or B or C. It's complicated. But the caching was disallowing us to do that. It was just going to a cached copy no matter what. So, you know, what we had to do is we had to put the URLs in here in order to overwrite that. So whenever people went to that forum and they signed up, you know, we gave them a non-cached version of that. So again, this is a compromise that we have to do in order to, you know, accomplish what was needed out of it. So we put the URLs here. You can put query strings here if you like, and you can exclude categories, which I think this is really absolutely really cool, because some categories might move faster than others. You know, it's up to you. I think this is a cool feature. I have not seen it in different plugins, or this one for that matter. You know, so I definitely recommend, you know, I would definitely like, I love this plugin because it gives me like a lot of granular control as to what do I want to cache and what do I not want to cache. And I think that from a development point of view, that is fantastic. Tags is the same as categories, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Do we not want to cache cookies? Again, I kind of, with the project that I did, I kind of mitigated that by disallowing the query strings, because the query strings were giving me a non-cached version, and since it wasn't cached, I can actually store those cookies in. So that was not a problem. Again, you have control even with the rules that you do not want to cache for. So I think that's really, really cool. This ESI settings, I am going to leave that because that's a really advanced topic. So basically what it means is that you can cache certain parts of the website and certain parts you cannot. So if we look over here at our website over here, I could say, oh, cache me this, but don't cache me, for example, this. So you have to do that with short codes, and you have to work with transients behind the scenes. So I prefer not to touch. This is a really advanced subject. So I'm just going to leave that as is. Object is really cool. Object is really cool, but you are going to need different methods to install it. So object cache is, I will discuss this in a database slide of this, but basically you can cache certain objects on a server level, but you're going to need to use a method, and you need to configure this on a server basis. Now, I can't do this here because I'm going to discuss, I would be discussing just GreenGeeks stuff, and I can't really know what's out there. So I prefer to leave this as is. I'm not going to go with it. So, you know, if you definitely are interested, do so. But, you know, we're not going to cache objects for now. I am going to explain what the logic is behind it, though. So for now, we're going to leave this as blank. A browser cache, do we want to store these files statically in a browser cache? Now, we can leave this as on, but some browsers are going to do that for you anyways. Depends on what your browser vendor is. Some of them do, others don't. I don't know if you guys have cleaned up your Windows or your Mac, and it says, oh, you have a lot of files. Clean up your temporary files. Basically, what this means is this. So do we want to force that, yes or no? I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it. And I mean, if you want to, go ahead and do it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to save the changes. And how long do we want it to live? Well, that's a long time, but still, you know, we wanted it to live like for a year or so. Okay, that's cool. We wanted to definitely live for a year. This is advanced. I like this feature. I haven't tested it. When a visitor hovers over a page link, preload that page. So basically, this is it's basically like loading behind the scenes for you. before you actually visit that page. I mean, if you want to do that, go for it. But this is definitely something I'm not going to do. Okay. The plugin also has CDN settings. Of course, it's going to work with their CDN of choice, which is this one over here. It's a quick.cloud.cedit CDN. I mean, you kind of map to it. So if you want to do it, yes or no. But for me, it's, let me see this option. I didn't. Oh, it does have Cloudflare. For those of you who definitely want to use Cloudflare, go for it. I think at GreenGeeks, we do have free accounts that you can actually use with Cloudflare to use it as a CDN. I haven't explained it in the slides yet, so I don't want to touch that for now, but I'll explain what CDN is in a minute, okay? Image optimization, a tricky one. This is a tricky one. This is a tricky one because what this does is this plugin, it's a really cool feature. So I haven't tested it, but this feature, what it does is it's going to optimize images on your WordPress installation. Now, I have a slide that's going to talk just about that. But my question about this plugin, which I didn't do the research on it, is it going to do this on the actual server where this is? Or is this going to do it on a server that belongs to this plugin? And the reason I say this is because if it's going to do it on our own server, the trade-off it's going to be that it's going to consume some resources while it does this on an image-by-image basis. So that might kind of can bring the site, it's going to slow the site significantly down. So I am going to leave this as off. I'm going to leave everything as off for now, and I'm going to save this because I definitely don't want to do this for now. Okay, yeah, I definitely don't want to do this. I am not sure about it before I do my homework. Okay, the page optimization, I absolutely love this. The CSS settings, do we want to minify this, yes or no? Answer is yes. Do we want to combine files? So if we go back to our G-metrics over here and minify CSS, you saw these three little things here. So basically this setting, what it means is, do we want to combine them to make it one call? So yeah, absolutely. Do we want this to be unique file? No, I don't want this. Do we want to use HTTP to push? Yes, we want to definitely do that. So as the setting here says, pre-send internal CSS files to the browser before they are requested. So again, it's like a background thing that we want to do. Now, part of the reasons why I also love GreenGeeks is the fact that GreenGeeks is an HTTP2 protocol ready hosting provider. So what does that mean? Basically, when the web was conceived, it was conceived with a protocol called HTTP, which is like a walkie-talkie kind of thing. So like it says, like, give me this file, give me, and the server response, give me that file, the server response, and so forth and so forth. That's the latency I discussed previously. So HTTP2 has something called multiplexing, on which you basically make one giant call and you just read the list of the things that you're going to need, and the server will get back to you with those with that list. So that's much faster. Like one call is faster than multiple calls. So we definitely want to do this. CSS asynchronously, we leave this off because we're going to need a domain key. Again, we're going to need their cloud services done for that. Yeah, this is definitely off. This is definitely off. Off. And we can leave this as default. We're going to do that over here. Okay. Please minify combined settings, and we're going to purge. Let's see. Yeah, we need to purge, eh? I still haven't figured where the purging is. So it's the same for JavaScript. Do we want to minify? We want to minify. Now, with JavaScript, I do have a small note. Sometimes when you combine JavaScript files, they may not work, or they may not behave as expected. Again, I can't foresee what JavaScript files you are going to have, but if you combine them, sometimes they're not going to work as expected, because some JavaScript files may need to be executed when the DOM load, others might not, and so forth and so forth. So I can't really tell you that this is going to work in all scenarios. But if something doesn't work as expected from a behavior point of view, you may want to toggle this setting back to off. So you're going to have to compromise functionality versus combining them. So we're going to put this as on. And do we want inline? Again, this is a tricky one. I would prefer to leave them as off because inline is there for a reason. So again, this has the same problem with the combining setting over here. So this one is risky. Well, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. The JS HTTP push, I would definitely want this on. Deferred means, without getting into much techie stuff, it basically means because JavaScript, it blocks, like when it starts executing, it blocks all other things which involve like the actual page loading JavaScript files. Like it starts to block things off. So if you declare a script as deferred, what it's going to do is it's not going to block that as the script is, executing stuff. So it can help reduce. So again, I would definitely want to leave this on. Load inline.js. How do you want that executed? After done, ready, or deferred? I'm going to leave that as default. As the setting says, if you choose deferred, some of it might be placed inline to avoid being deferred. So I definitely don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've saved the options. Please say optimization settings. How long do we want these files to be cached? I think a week is fine. HTML minify. Do we want to compress the HTML as well? We absolutely do. This is an advanced setting that I'm not going to discuss, the DNS prefetch. But again, I really, really like all the amount of options that this plugin has. It's fantastic. Like you can do a lot of stuff with it. Okay, this option I absolutely love. Load Google Fonts asynchronously. So again, do I want to download this like in the background? Yes or no? If we have Google Fonts. In my case, I think I am not using Google Fonts, but sure, why not? If you want to remove Google Fonts, you could do that here. Do we want to remove the WordPress emojis? I definitely do. We don't need the emojis unless you are an emoji guy and you want your people to comment with emojis. I mean, yeah, I prefer to remove it. So I'm going to remove that. Media settings, lazy load images. So as the description says, do we want to load the images only when they enter the viewport? Yeah, we definitely do. But do we want to put a placeholder? I don't have one ready for this webinar, so I'm going to leave it as off. Responsive placeholder, again, yeah, no, that's fine. This has to do with the cloud services that they use, so we're going to leave that as is. I'm going to save this over here. And media exclude, do we want to exclude certain media from lazy loading? Wow, this is really cool. For now, I'm going to say no. So, because my site's really, really small. Gravatar cache. The Gravatar cache has to do with the comments. By default, WordPress comes with Gravatars. Basically, it's if we go to settings over here and we go to discussion, let me open this in a new tab. If we scroll all the way down, you're going to see these little dudes over here. These are called Gravatars. So people will have Gravatars. They'll have their own Gravatars. So this, this can actually cache them into your local disk locally. That means that you don't need to go to Gravatar and download them. Again, this saves requests. This saves a lot of things. If it's important to you, do so. For me, it's not important because I am not interested in, I am not interested in comments right now. So I'm going to leave this as off. I'm going to leave this as is. And this is if we want to exclude CSS files or any JS files. Again, you could do this over here. You could combine them and you can do all of this and you can go to tuning over here and you can just exclude these. And you could put the ones that that is failing, you can just actually go ahead and exclude them. That's the best of both worlds, if you ask me, because you can go ahead here, you can combine them. And if you know that one of them is giving problems and you know which one it is, you can just go over here, put it as an exclude rule, and it's going to do exactly that. Okay. So I asked, yeah, this plugin is really, really cool. But the thing that I don't know, I haven't done, and let's go to database over here. This is also really, really cool setting. We're going to run this tool in a bit because I want to give you guys the uh, the uh, the laydown of the database from a technical perspective. So I don't want to play with these settings yet. We're going to get there. But wow, this thing is really, really cool. I absolutely like it because it allows me to do database upgrades within the tool itself. I don't have to go manually into into my engine and do it, and I don't have to install an additional plugin to do so. So I think this is a really, really complete thing over here. Cache crawler, cache hit, cache miss. This is okay. Crawler, this will okay. Okay. Crowd settings, simulation settings. No, that's fine. We're gonna leave that as is. We don't need this. Basically, it's a crawler that's gonna give us a status of what was missed, what was done, and what wasn't. And the toolbox, what I'm looking for is exactly. I want to go to the toolbox over here and I want to purge everything. Why? Because I made some changes, and I definitely want to purge everything. I made some changes and I definitely want to purge the whole thing. And empty, I want to purge all. So I'm going to go over here and I've purged everything. So now, you can even export your settings, which is something the other caching plugins that I've used have that as well, which I absolutely love, because you can have your own settings here, like your base settings, so to speak, and you can just import and export that throughout your multiple WordPress installs. This I would definitely, listen to what they have to say. This page is meant for advanced users, because if you do a wrong change to your htaccess, you have the capability of breaking your website completely. So in here, we're going to leave that as is. So this is a copy of the htaccess file that we have, and we are not going to do that, okay? I don't know what this is, but so let's go skip it. Report, debug settings. Okay, if we want to debug, you can put this on. It's going to override the caching. Okay, and you can put your IP here in order for it not to be cached. So again, if you need to debug, instead of going, logging in, or you're not logging in, you need to see it for everybody, you can go ahead and do that here, and you can just put debug mode on, and it's not going to cache anything for you. Okay, so I think we are ready. Let's see how this loads. Let me go over here and let me open a new private window. I want to open a new private window to see how well it's responded. And in this case, it responded really bad. Why? Well, as you can see, everything is cached, but I'm having problems. Wow. Or maybe it's not done yet. Hold on. Well, we definitely don't want. If I go over here and go here, let me see. Yeah, this is also, it crashed. So we are going to have to go back and let's see if the problem is, going to be our JS. Let me see, JS settings. I want to combine off, and off, and off. Let's do that. And now let's go to toolbox and let's purge everything. Okay, and now reload. And it's still not working. And now let's go to our CSS. We're going to move off, off, off. And okay, let's see what happens when I do that. And let's go back into toolbox. And Portugal. Okay, now refresh. Okay, so we're getting there. So something I purged, something I did is causing my website to completely combine, push, deferred, and let's hit that. Let's go back into toolbox and let's purge all. And let's refresh this. It's behaving. It's good. This doesn't, however. This is not behaving. So we're going to need to address that. As you can see, the images are definitely not behaving the way I would like them to be. Now, why is that? Let's inspect that. Let's inspect element. And okay. So if I go over here, yeah, it has to do with the lazy loading. So I am going to go back again. I'm not liking that. So I go to image optimization over here. And where was the lazy loading? Wait, page optimization over here. And media settings. I definitely need to turn this off because I'm not liking the behavior that it's having. And this is the background, right? So let's save the changes. Let's go back into our toolbox over here. Let's purge. And now let's reload. And now it's behaving as it should. So lazy loading, definitely, I didn't like it. So I'll have to troubleshoot that eventually, okay? So the culprit that we have, it has to do with the CSS settings. So first, let's minify. Let's save the changes and let me open the toolbox in a different tab so I can just purge as I'm going. And let's see. So this is breaking. Okay, so it's breaking. So it's breaking. So it's doing something that it doesn't like with it. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna save this over here and I'm gonna refresh. No, actually, I'm going to just purge all CSS, JSS code. And I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna refresh that. And it's still, it's not liking it. I'm gonna purge all. I'm gonna refresh over here. Yeah, so I am going to get rid of this. And let me put this and this. And let's see. And now let's go back here again. Let me purge everything and reload. And okay, it's working. So that means that these two settings over here, they're giving me problems. The CSS minify and the CSS combine. Oh, it even has problems. How to fix problems caused by CSS and GSS optimization. Okay. Okay. So we're going to have to read this guide, which is a little bit long, but I would definitely solve it, either doing it manually or, yeah, or removing that. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry it didn't work as expected, but I can't minify this. Yeah, if I do over that and reload, it's going to, yeah, definitely. So, okay, we definitely don't want that. Okay, well, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now we'll troubleshoot that in eventually, okay? But now I need to move forward. So now I need to reload this and I need to go ahead and let's see how it behaves once I have retested it. So if I retest it and over here, and I'm gonna do another test in a bit. Now our requests have gone down to 15. It's still good. Load time is still good. It's 1.76, but our page size is still tremendously large. We need to address that. Okay. Still, now it's 99%. CSS, yeah, it looks good. However, I still need to, I am still doing bad here. So 2.6, but my problem here still has to do with the images. And let me run this guy again. Let me run him again. So we were at 5.19. And let's do the test again. Whoa. Okay, go down. Okay. That's still really, really good. Because if we look at here, it's 5.19. So I'm still reducing it even further by using this plugin. But my only downside, the only thing I really, really dislike is the fact that my CSS kind of died. I have to troubleshoot that. And as you can see, the response time is blazing fast. It's really, really nice. I forgot how my site looks without the form. Right, it has no form. Well, there you go. I lost functionality because I got rid of the. So now it's 2.95. If we look at this, it's almost half. So I've cut it even further. So that's really, really nice. I'm really, really happy with it. So now, we've played a lot with this plugin. So I'm really, really sad that this didn't work. So again, to go back to it, the problem has to do with the CSS settings that I have over here, with the combining and minifying. It's even giving me problems caused by this. And if I click over here, it's going to open this tool. But the problem I have is that this tool is tremendously long, and I just don't have the time to actually, go over it right now. So, but, just test, tweak, and I'm sure you'll come up with a solution as to how to fix that. So lazy loading was also a problem with me. It didn't work as expected. So again, I could disable it and then I can enable it, and I can definitely, play with it in order to do that. But all in all, this plugin is fantastic. And the things that to me are worth it is the control that I have over absolutely everything. And this little module over here, the database optimizer. I'm going to review that in the database slide, but this is a fantastic tool because it's going to allow me to administer my database within this plugin, and I'm going to have a faster website once I'm done with it. CDN wise, you could actually add a Cloudflare if you were interested in it. At GreenGeeks, we do offer Cloudflare for our customers. I think there's a quota on it. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but you can definitely use that. Now, I'm going to explain what CDN does in a minute. The cache over here, these are normal settings. We skip the object one just because I don't want to use any of these methods that involve server configuration, and I don't want to get into too geeky kind of thing. Caching is a whole monster of its own, so I definitely skip this part. And the part that you definitely want to keep doing is after every change that you do, you go to Toolbox over here and you just, purge your cache in order to retest it. If you're happy with it, make sure you export the settings that are going to work on websites, and have fun with it. So now that I've spoken so much about this plugin, there are other options out there. Yes, there are. So another popular plugin that is available, if we go over here and we go to add new, and if we type in cache, we have first, this one is the most popular bar none, the W3 total cache. And another one that I use, and this has to do with the, has to do with the project that I was working on, is this one. It's developed by Automatic. Now, this one is a really simple plugin because it doesn't have a lot of options. But if it does the job for you, great. To me, this one is absolutely fantastic because it does so many things with it. I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. But this one is also a really, really popular one. It has a lot of control. I use it from time to time. Let me deactivate this one so I don't get into any conflict. Stay on page. Let me go back into plugins over here. And let me deactivate this one. Deactivate. And now if we reload, wait a second. If we reload over here, we should get the page again, but now everything is not cached, as you can see over here. So go plugins, go all the way down, W3, we're going to activate this guy. We're just going to look really briefly, because this is another monster. Like, as you can see, it has a lot of options out there. It has the general page, minify, database, object, browser, user agent. So it has the same settings as the previous one, but it's just a different configuration, a different thing, different ways to do things. So if you want to go with it, like, absolutely go with it. Like, you know, for example, this one, you can toggle these cache to toggle these if you want to, but on the other one, you can actually do that on a category and tags, or you can even go to specific categories and cache them if you needed them. I thought that was a far more granular control compared to this one. The minify option works. So what we could do, though, let me give that, because I'm really obsessed about it. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to exit this one because I want to go back into fixing that. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to deactivate this guy. I'm going to deactivate him and I'm going to delete him. I'm just going to leave him. So for now, so I want, where are you? I want Lightspeed back on, but now Lightspeed, let me see if I have all the settings. Let me see if I have all the settings. I think so. Page optimization, CSS settings. I do. So cool. So I am going to go and I'm going to see, first of all, let me go back into Lightspeed and let me go back into page optimization. And what I'm going to do is I am going to what I'm going to do is I am going to allow okay, so what I'm interested in, let's see. What I'm interested in is basically I want to minify and see if a different plugin can handle it. So let's go with this guy. Let's see how it behaves once I do this, all right? So I'm going to activate this guy. So what I'm basically doing is I am yeah, okay, cool. Okay. Okay, cool. So what I'm doing is, this is not, let's see if I combine both. Let's see how it behaves. If it behaves, great. If not, we'll just move on. Don't worry. And let's purge everything. And now let's see how it behaves. Huh. Yeah, it did, but it's not minifying. I actually did it, but it's not minifying. Okay, so that was my last attempt. Don't worry. I just wanted to make sure. What I wanted to do is I wanted to see if I could use a plugin that will handle just the minifying process of it and let the Lightspeed cache handle the cache part of it. But it's not working out. So I am going to disable that and I'm just going to leave it as is. So I'm going to move on to the next slide because yeah, it's getting late. So like I said, there are other options out there. Yeah, like W3 cache, or super cache, but I absolutely love Lightspeed cache. I thought it was a great plugin and it had a lot of options. And like I said, it comes out of the box with GreenGeeks and you can actually use it, you know, whenever you install your WordPress site. So that's a really cool feature. that I want you guys to show. So the next option is the pictures. They count. We need pictures, but we need to trim them. It's important. It's important to know this because if you look at my website, the problem was the actual images of it. I had a lot of images, and I actually need to trim them. So it's important to do this. Now there are plugins that do this on the fly. Like for example, Smush over here. If we go here and you go and Smush, this is the plugin that I'm not going to install it because, and I'll explain why. Smush is a plugin that handles all the lazy loading images and compressing images on the spot. So they're going to do that for you. So that's one of the plugins that you can actually use if you want to go with it. Another plugin that's really, really cool, and let me put it in the notes over here, it's this one, optimal.com. So if you go to optimal.com, it's not a free plugin, but it has a free version, but it limits the amount of visits that you can actually do. So again, this is also a plugin that what they do is basically they compress images on the fly. Like whenever you upload it, it's going to do that stuff behind the scenes for you. Now, the things that I actually liked about these two plugins, which is why I wasn't sure about the Lightspeed cache, is the fact that they actually do it on their service. So all the processing and all the compressing stuff is done on their side. So, you know, that saves resources on your end because you don't want that to do it on your side. And while you're compressing a lot of images or you're compressing some images, there's a lot of people going into your site. And then next thing you know, you're not going to get one or the other. So I always prefer to do that, you know, offsite whenever possible. There's two types of compression techniques out there. One is called lossy, and the other is called lossless compression. So lossy compression basically means that we are going to start chipping away at the quality of the image itself until we reach a compromise between, you know, how good the image looks and its size. Obviously, the more we strip, the more colors, the more stuff that we strip out, the worse it's going to look. So if we go to lossy versus lossless, and I'm sure there's an image that can actually describe that. So this setting over here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but okay. So the original is this one. This is really cool feed. This is a good example. Let me copy this image location. Let me open this over here. Let me get rid of this. So as you can see, the original one is 112 kilobytes. Lossless, what it basically means is lossless strips all the metadata out of the image. Now, what do I mean by the metadata? Usually it means camera, location, lens. Those who are familiar with photography should know this. It's going to strip all the stuff, the information that describes the image. So it's going to reduce just 4 kilobytes, as you can see here. It's just metadata. It's just text that it's going to strip out. Now, lossy, on the other hand, it's going to strip out colors, legibility. It's going to be significantly less. If you look at this, it's almost half of this, but the image on the right, it's not really that legible. So again, you need to compromise with this, and this is part of the reasons why I'm not 100% sure on these plugins, because these plugins are going to do that for you. They're going to have that. They're going to make that decision for you, and sometimes you are okay with it, and sometimes you're not. And to give you an example of this is, let's say, for example, I wanted to say, why would you use this image on the far right? And I would say, yeah, I would use it on the far right. I would use it as a background image, and I would overlay this with a color and put text on the top. Now, I would definitely be able to live with the fact that this image is not a high quality image, because it's just a background blurred type of image that I actually need. I don't need it to be 100% legible. So I could compromise and say, listen, I could definitely go with this route. So with plugins, you won't be able to do that. And, you know, this is why I prefer to do the manual job. So are there resources out there that do this for you? Absolutely. There's two that come in mind. I use Tiny PNG, which is one I absolutely love. It's Tiny JPEG or Tiny PNG. It's this one over here. It's the little panda. I usually, before I upload an image to WordPress, I go ahead and do that here. So if I go to media and I go, for example, where am I? Well, I'm all over the place, but this one, let's go with this one, right? I'm going to copy this and wait. I want to actually use the one that's correct. Let me go to my website over here, which is the name of this, copy image location. It's this one. So I want to go here. And how do I say? I want to save this to my background. And wait a minute. Yeah, I'm here. So I want to use this tool. And I'm going to go over here. And this is going to do the compression for me. So this compromised 24%, which I think it's okay. It does. So again, I know I said about the plugin that this basically does the same because it's going to, infer what it does for me. But they say that you will not lose any quality of the image. So, and let's see if that holds true. So if I go over here and I save this file, and I'm going to drag that and put it here in my desktop. Wait, go here in my desktop. I want to keep both, right? And let's see. So we have the copy, and I think it looks great. You see, I reduced 24%, and I can't really see a difference between one or the other, okay? So once I've done that, I can see, wow, this is definitely a huge file size save. So if I go back into my WordPress site and I use this one, yeah, I uploaded it twice. Why did I do that? So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to delete one. Delete this, and I am sure that this is going to break. Because if I go to my website over here, I'm sure one of them will break. And it's this one. This one broke. So I need to fix that. I actually both broke it. So I need to fix that. So I am going to copy this. And I'm going to go over here. And again, this is a huge image file. So in here, I'm thinking maybe it's best. We'll see. So this is a 4 megabyte image. So I'm going to go back into Tiny PNG tool, and I'm going to drag that, and I'm going to click here, and let's see what the tool does for me. Wow, it went from 4.1 to 1.1. That is a huge save. So I am going to go, and I'm going to save this. That is a huge save. So if I go over here and go back into my desktop, wait a minute. Go back into my desktop. I'm going to keep both. I go back into my desktop and I want to look at this. And if you, yeah, you see a little deviance, but to me, it looks identical. So I'm really happy with it. So I'm saying, man, this is a 3 megabyte save. So I'm going to dump this guy, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to do that and be done with it. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same with the other images. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it like that. And this is probably work one. And this is work 3, okay? So I'm gonna go here and I have all 3 ready, okay? So now that I'm ready, I'm gonna go back into my tool, the Tiny PNG tool, and I'm gonna load these little guys over here. I'm gonna say open, and I'm just gonna let it do the magic. Now here, the differences were dismal, but still, I mean, every kilobyte counts. So I am happy with it. Now, the last ones I did notice that I don't see are media library are these, right? Okay, okay. So these are just 2 kilobytes, but still, we're gonna go for it. I'm gonna use this one, copy this, go over here, save it, go over here, exit, go over here. What I'm doing is I'm copying the URL and I'm basically saving it on my desktop, because what I want to do is I want to run the tool once I am okay with it. So here we go. And we go over here. And we go over here. So now I want to go back into my tool. And I want to add a few more. Where are my icons? These guys. Okay, okay. And I want to rename this. As you can see, this one definitely did a good job. And I could want to go over here or go with these two. And yeah, I downloaded and I cut down a little bit. So I want to go over here. I want to unzip this. And I want to open this. Sorry about all the files that I have. And now this is what I want to work with, right? So now I want to go back into my WordPress installation. And what am I going to do? I'm just going to delete them because I really don't need them. So I am going to go ahead here, change my setting. And I'm just going to dump everything except specs and myself. I got to go. So yeah, I got to go. So I'm going to go. All right, I'm going to go. And I deleted everything and I'm going to add new. And now I'm going to go into my desktop. Was it desktop? No, where was this? Okay, downloads, Tinyfied. And go back, downloads, Tinyfied over here. And I'm going to select all of these. And now I'm uploading just the ones that I am going to need. Now, you would argue that this process is slower. Yeah, it is slower because I'm doing more manual stuff. Absolutely. But again, I prefer not to rely on a plugin that I don't know how much resources it is going to consume. Now, if you definitely want to do that, go ahead and do it. But can I rename it? Nah, never mind. I was going to rename it, but it's just an obsession that I had because this hasn't hyphen. But I'll be fine. So now I got to go back into my page. I got to go back into my I Marco. And now I got to go here. I got to go here and I got to change my cover, right? Clear media and how do I want to replace open media library, and I want to use this guy. Okay. These little guys, I think they were actually, let's not run any risks. So I want to go with this. I want to go with this. I want to go with this. I want to replace open media library. Open media library. This one over here. This one over here. I want to go here, replace, and open media library, and this one. And last but not least, myself. I want to replace myself. Open media library. I want to go with Marco. And okay, and some of the work. It looks like it's been inserted for us. Yeah, it's because, well, I'm not going to run. Okay. And replace and open media library. I'm going to use the same file now. So now I'm going to update this and I'm going to refresh. Now watch this guy running. Now watch this guy run. Let's see how well we do. And where's GT metrics? We're going to retest. And where is this over here? Okay, so We have everything almost ready. I don't like to run all three at once. And if we go all the way down, now I have 3.0 megabytes, which is still, I'm still getting there. You know, it's still big. The images are still a problem. It's obviously this image size, total size. It's this image, obviously. It's still heavy, but you know, I did a good job. Now I've reduced it significantly using some of it. Now, can I reduce this image even further? I would say yes. You could do so if you use JPEG instead of PNG, this extension over here. You can do it with Photoshop, if you guys know, with GIMP or anything like that, or you can actually cut down the dimensions of it. You can cut down the dimensions of it and do that. But since we're running out of time, I really need to move forward, okay? So that was it for the image part of it. Another tool that I use for images, it's this one over here. It's called the Squish.app. It's this one over here. Wait. And this one over here, Squish.app. And this has the same functionality as the Panda one. You just basically drop and drag and drop. It's a drag and drop feature. And we're going to select that. And if we go over here and we do this, let's see. Wow. Wait, this can reduce it even further. Now let's reduce that and let me do that now. This tool converts it to JPEG. Wow, that is really cool. Okay, so like I said, you know, this tool is even better because if I look at this graphic, I can see, why do I need this to be a PNG? I really don't. I mean, JPEGs are usually better for photographies and PNGs are usually better for small graphics like vectors or like icons that are one color. So this is a lot of color. This has, as you can see, this has an effect. So JPEG is a much suitable job. Now look at this file size. This is fantastic. So I'm going to go and I'm actually going to do that because I actually want you guys to look at this. And I want to go ahead and upload a new file. I want to go all the way at the top. Where is it? Where is it? Where's that file? Oh, it's here. And okay, cool. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to select this file. And now I want to go JPEG. Okay, very cool. So now I want to go back to my page, edit page, and I want to replace this. Replace, open media library, and I want to go with this one. Select. This one, replace, open media library. And we're going to go with this one. We're going to hit save. And now let's run this again. In the meantime, I'm going to run this test one more time. We're going to do it in the background. Okay. Okay, reload. I'm sorry about the time. I didn't know it was going to take this long. I thought it was just, let's just plug in. Now look at this. Under a megabyte, 1.27 seconds. I still have 20 requests, but again, I did a fantastic job with it. And now from 5 megabytes, I went all the way down to 7.76. Now this is really a good, fast website that I feel that, yeah, it's really, really nice. So to move forward, because we have to go fast, let me a few more things. Update your plugins and themes also as well. Schedule them. What I mean by scheduling, make sure that any jobs that you do it in off hours. What do I mean by this? Like backups, stuff that requires behind the scenes work. Make sure that you do it in the off hours when you have the least amount of visitors. One thing I can think of is like backups. Don't do backups during business hours if you can actually do them at 2 in the morning while everybody's sleeping, because you don't know how intensive that process might be. So if you have heavy stuff that is running, if you have jobs that run, make sure that you do them in off hours and make sure you update your plugins and themes as well. You know, we're striving for a better web, so resources might come in handy. Use a CDN. So a CDN is basically a content distribution network. And this is really important because all your files, you can upload them to a CDN, and whenever someone visits the site, it's going to download the information that's nearest to you. Now, unfortunately, we're almost running out of time, so I can't really configure a CDN for you. But, you know, it's useful if you want to use something called domain sharding, which is basically setting up subdomains for your assets. So let's say images on one subdomain and JavaScript and CSS files on other subdomains. Because remember the calls, if you use subdomains, those subdomains can actually make calls on your behalf as well. So you can actually use a CDN if you want. But with HTTP 2 protocol, it's becoming less and less relevant. So if you are with us at GreenGeeks and you have the HTTP 2 protocol enabled, you know, going, it's a really cool feature to have. Now, something really quick about videos. If you must use them, you know, go ahead and use videos. But what I definitely don't recommend is for you to upload your videos and use them on your actual site, like serve them from within your website. Why? Because of the bandwidth issue, and two, because of the call. You know, it's a big call. It's a huge call to call a video. And WordPress has the functionality to work with YouTube flawlessly. So, you know, why not embed and upload that video to YouTube and let YouTube handle all the bandwidth and the optimization issues for you? That is why they're so popular, because they handle all that, you know, behind the scenes stuff for you, so that you can just go ahead and upload a video to do. Now, if you want to work with a video, you must, like, for example, a background video or something like that, make sure it's of the lowest quality. Remember the analogy I said about the pictures and working, you know, with an overlay? The same thing can be said about videos. You know, use a low quality video where text is going to be at the top. I mean, you don't need the video to be absolutely crisp. You can compromise the size for quality, because people are not going to view the video directly. It is a background video, so it's fine. Now, a few of the final things that I wanted to discuss. Our database, plugins that are not used anymore, sometimes depending on who the vendor is, like who made the plugin for you, they're going to have data that's going to be left out there. To give you an example of this, if we go over here to cPanel, if I go back into my cPanel account, I have two installations, as you noticed. I had a course installation and I have the content installation. So I'm going to load PHPMyAdmin, which is the tool that we use to you know, access your database, and you can see them over here. It's this one over here. This is one. I'm going to expand this. Let me expand this. This is one, and this is the other. As you can see, this one has a few tables. It has it comes with the default tables that WordPress has. Now watch this one, which is the one we are working on. And it has all of these tables. It's so big that you need a second page for it. So you may be saying, what's up with that? Where do these tables, where do they come from? And the answer is they come from plugins, because plugin developers will actually create the tables for you. And as you can see over here, if you go back into plugins, now the plugins may be disabled. They may be completely disabled, but the tables are still here. So all of this stuff is like, you know, why do I need this stuff if I'm not using it? And that is a very good question. That's a very good question. That's a legitimate question that you have. So if your site is like 10 years old and you've added a bunch of plugins, like plugin after plugin after plugin, chances are you're going to have this database completely bloated with tables that you are not using. So it's best to get rid of them. It's best to just clean them up and make sure it looks as closest to this as possible, because this is a lean, small database that you have. So make sure that you do take a look at that. The other option that I wanted to discuss was transients. Transients are, unfortunately we're out of time, but transients are a way for you to cache specific parts of WordPress if you are in the need of not caching everything. So you can cache only the parts that you need and not cache the rest. So transients are a great way to do that. I gave some WordCamp talks about that, but you know, unfortunately we're out of time, but this is something you can definitely, you know, take a look at. Another thing I wanted you to take a look at is the auto-loaded data. If you go to WP options over here, this is where the WordPress options are. And you see this auto load feature over here. They all point to yes, 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 yes. So what this means is that WordPress basically loads all of these options within the database on every page that you go to. And again, this begs the question, is this stuff needed, yes or no? So for now, I mean, this is small, right? This is just 25 things that it loads. But if you go over here to the same table that we have for our website that we've been using for this webinar, now you're going to see a bunch of yes, yes. Everything seems to be yes, 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 and yes, and yes, and yes. There are some no's. So this is also a problem, because do I need to load these widgets on every page? Do I need to load this? Do I need to ask the database for this? The answer is going to be no. So unfortunately, we're out of time, but I don't know if this plugin can handle that for us. But we definitely need to find a solution that can do the job for us, okay? So we're looking at size. Let me scroll this a little bit to the left. And like this, we are looking for size. We're looking for database size, and we definitely want the size to be small. So if you see here, my space uses for this, it's 2.2 megabytes, which is still in a reasonable doubt, but some megabytes tables can go as far as 3 or even 10. So the higher the value is, the more problems you will have, because you're going to have a slow database. Remember the Christmas tree, it's going to be a Christmas tree full of Christmas bells. So it's going to be really, really slow. Okay, so do take into consideration that. This little plugin that I have over here, it's a really cool plugin, but I am going to look at the other one, at the Lightspeed cache plugin. So this is basically a good database plugin on which you can actually see where your database is clogging up. So if we go here and query monitor, that's the name of it. If we go over here and we go to plugins, and we add a new one, and what's the name of it? Query monitor. Okay, query monitor. This is a very helpful tool, because this is, as the name implies, it's going to query the database for you on every page load, and you're going to see where your bottlenecks are going to be. It's a really cool tool from a development point of view, because you can actually see it in action. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Settings. Okay, unfortunately, I'm out of time, so I can't really walk you through this, but this plugin is really, really handy. Oh, I forgot to see what the results were. They were still consistent. They're pretty much the same. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, we're still doing a great job with it. So make sure you do, take a look at that. So auto loads, it's something you definitely need to worry about. Now, going back into a plugin, the Lightspeed plugin, I love this because in the toolbox, you have a database option. Where was it? No, it was in the database module. It's this one over here. So this one over here, this will allow me to clean all the stuff that it doesn't deem as fit anymore. And I can actually look at the transients over here. It did clean it. And okay, that's cool. But let me run this again, see if it did anything. Now let's go back and let's go over here and let's refresh, see what happens. No, it's still too heavy. So this is something that you're going to have to use, you're going to have to get rid of some of the tables manually in order to do that. Unfortunately, we're out of time and I can't really walk you guys through this. So last thing, make sure you check on post revisions as well. Post revisions are the amount of copies WordPress saves when you're writing stuff. The higher this number is, the more you're going to clock into your database. So it's really a good feature to have. Hot linking is something that involves other people leeching off your content. Like let's say link to that specific image, so people are downloading stuff off your website without you knowing. Expiring headers, the Lightspeed cache plugin did that job for you. So it's a cool feature to have if you want to, make sure that expiring headers, you want to check them out when do they expire. The Lightspeed cache plugin handles them for you. Review your cron jobs. So cron jobs are jobs that happen behind the scenes. Again, another cool plugin that I use. It's this one over here. It's the WP Control. Don't get confused with the spelling here. It's cron, like cron, and control. So it's a mix of the two words. It's the same guy, John Blackburn. He's a guy who worked with the WordPress development core development team. So he's a really good guy known within the community. He's a fantastic developer. So this plugin, what it does is you can actually review when your cron jobs happen. So if you go back into these slides over here, where I said, to update and review when the heavy stuff runs, this plugin will allow you to identify that. So if it's something that is run that is really, really intense, you can perhaps move it to a different time, either within the plugin itself, or just remove the plugin altogether and find another suitable plugin that you can actually, review that. And last but not least, minify, which is something that we did, and disable emojis, review comments, and embeds. This is stuff that the Lightspeed cache plugin can do for you. And yeah, that's a really, really cool feature to have. Some speed test tools that I used. So I used Pingdom. I used GT Metrics. I used Loader.io. Those were the three that I used. Now there are others out there like Google Page Speed Insights and Web Page Test. Now it's a matter of preference, what you like. For example, I didn't use Google Page Speed Insights because I don't like the results that Google gives me. I can't interpret them very correctly, which is what I absolutely love about Pingdom. So my takeaway here is do multiple tests. Location matters. It's not the same testing to Sao Paulo than from here. Stick to a workflow, like which tools are you going to use, what are you going to read, and what are you going to review. Okay? Always test before caching. As you can see, I actually tested. I reviewed the page when I was caching, and I made sure that everything worked as it should. If it didn't, I went back and reviewed everything. And my last is don't obsess. Like, for example, with this over here. Don't obsess over this. You don't need an A and you don't need 100 to get the job done. I mean, this comes a time when you have to compromise functionality between speed. For me, I'm really happy with this. 1.27 is a really fast website, and it's under a megabyte. So for a layout to look like this, under a megabyte, call me a happy camper. Okay, I'm definitely satisfied with the outcome of it. And with that, I think we are absolutely done. So thank you very much, and I am ready for the questions. I'm sorry I took the whole 2 hours. I didn't know it was going to last that long. Thank you.
Hey, Marco, I think there's a question in the chat room.
I figured.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so let me see the questions. Quick Q&A. I can't see them. Let me go back to my
the chat.
Yes. No, it's just that I need to change my display because I can't see them. Okay. Hell, is there a wishes going? Lucy asks, hello, is there a reason why we should install the LS Cache plugin via the cPanel rather than uploading the plugin directly into the site? No, there's no particular reason. You can absolutely do that. It's just that with GreenGeeks, it comes bundled with it. So you can go ahead and work with it straight away. Now, I think, and I'm not 100% sure, I think that new accounts come with the plugin enabled by default. So it's just for people who didn't have it and they want to use it, working with LS Cache plugin. Yeah. Okay. And Greg, oh, he's lost. Oh, I'm sorry, Greg. I don't know. I didn't think it was too techy. Was it, Anna? What?
Yeah, I think it was great. It was a lot of information.
But do you think it was techy? Do you think it was too techy?
If someone wants to stay 1 more hour, just kidding.
Okay. And Erica, do you think it was too techy?
No, I think it was good.
Oh, she can't speak. Okay. Okay. All right. And how about the Q&A? What do we have? No questions.
today.
Oh, okay.
I guess. Okay. Thank you. So okay. Let's go ahead and do the raffle. You ready? Okay. Hold on. Don't mind that my screen is all full of a dog.
It's okay. It's better that than other things. Don't worry.
Do you like that? Okay. I just changed that.
Yeah, we good.
Okay. So we're going to do that. And we have Lucy. Lucy almost Bill. Lucy is the first winner. And then we're going to spin again. And Scott.
Hey, congrats.
Congrats. And yeah, I think that's it for today. I will contact you.
I didn't think it was that techie, was it?
What?
You think it was techie? No, I think no.
No.
I know. I hope that the audience didn't think that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Congrats, eh?
All right, then I guess if we don't have any more questions, probably people want to move on to their Saturday. So yeah, and you guys want to also move on to your Saturday. So
yes,
guys,
I do.
Thank you so much. Please join us for the next webinars. We have so many coming up in November. Just look at our webinar page, greengeeks.com/webinars, and check out our future ones. And Marco, thank you. I think you were awesome.
Anna. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Marco.
And Erica, thank you for being here. Thank you, Erica, for being here.
And thank you, everybody, for
attending. Also.
Thank you. And we see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thank
ciao,
you.
ciao.
Ciao.